All right, guys. So I actually saw a clip of this on my TikTok about Ethan talking to some weird cult member from NXIVM. I don't really know what that is. I'm sure we're gonna get a little bit of a pretext or context here from Ethan. But then people in my chat were like, "Yo, can you watch this?" So I'm like, "Hey, I saw it. I was kind of curious. I saw him basically the clip I saw was apparently the guy he's talking to says that he had Tourette's or something, and then he was able to cure it." Which is, I don't think it's possible. Now, I don't have diagnosed Tourette's. When I was born, the doctor said to my mom, "Your kid probably has Tourette's. You should get him diagnosed." And she just never did because it was never really necessary. But I do have tics. I've heard that apparently tics can be part of like OCD behavior. And I have like symptoms of OCD behavior. I never got diagnosed. The reason I know this is because I'm married to a behavioral specialist. So, which has its challenge. But I'm not formally diagnosed. Fortunately for me, they didn't impede my life enough for me to need it. But there's still some ways that I struggle. I have some tics that are really frustrating and bother me. For instance, I have a bad shoulder from driving buses, and one of my tics for some reason, or maybe it's a compulsion, maybe it's an OCD thing, is to pop my shoulders out. You see I'm doing this, and it hurts like a motherfucker. It hurts so bad. I have some that I have to whip my head back and forth a little violently. It gets a little bit weird sometimes, but those might be OCD type tics, which apparently there's one of those. Interesting stuff, but not really. Let's just move on. Let's get this going.
But the ninja
Ninjutsu shit.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about the show at all. The girl Legos was like, "Who's your favorite character?" I was like, he didn't care about this. That's what he just likes the dragon. All right, so let's talk to our esteemed caller. So
set it up first a little bit before we bring him in.
Yeah, I will right now. All right, so this whole thing started when...
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so some individuals with OCD have a tic disorder. Motor tics are sudden, brief, repetitive movements. Yeah, it's interesting. Head or shoulder jerking. Yeah, that's the face grimacing. Yeah, sometimes. I also compulsively check the doors over and over again every night because I'm afraid. I do weird things. There's times where a lot of times I kiss my wife and I kiss her over and over and over again, usually in patterns of 5, because if I don't kiss her enough, I feel a really weird feeling that she's gonna die. So I have to do a lot of weird stuff. I'm a mess. I also count the stairs up and down the stairs and make sure you got to make sure everything's safe, because if you don't count correctly, you might get hurt. You never
This dude, Mark Elliott, emailed me a few weeks ago. I'll read the email to you guys that I got. As you guys know, did you... Let me know when that's done, Jim. As you guys know, I have a lot of interest in NXIVM. I am a believer. I think Keith Ramirez is a modern-day genius.
I have no
and
idea
he's
who
been
that is.
unfairly slated as a villain. So does Mark. Mark is an award-winning speaker who lived with Tourette syndrome for 20 years and then beat it completely, mind over body.
I don't think
that shocked me.
That's quite a claim.
And now with the now infamous company NXIVM, he was recently featured in the 3rd episode of the documentary The Vow on HBO. We've talked about The Vow on this show. He actually, and good for him, he sued HBO or was it someone else?
Why?
Someone else.
Why did he sue
A different
HBO?
documentary that was on Stars, I believe it was, called Seduced. That was also about the NXIVM
Kay
group.
became a member.
Hey, thank you so much for the small gut.
Please, Dan. Now he said, oh, it is. Okay, good. Now he said, I recently saw your coverage of poking holes in the Andrew Tate narrative, which is true. Now, I've been critical of Andrew Tate, but I think he does a lot of good things too.
Oh, what is this, a character? This has to be a meme, because we're at that point now where it's an objective fact that Andrew Tate sex trafficked women. Okay, he admitted himself. We've talked about it before. He said that his webcam business is different from other webcam businesses. He treats women like prostitutes. He lies to them. He forces them all to fall in love with them. He has to sleep with all of them. There was even that leaked text messages. People are like, oh my God, they're admitting they could have left, where these girls are like, yeah, I think we can leave because they're so in love with us. They think we'll come back, which a lot of this stuff just suggests that he actually engages in the lover boy method. We're there. We're at that point. So he's got it. I think Ethan's playing a little meme, but it frustrates me. People are like, well, he does some good, because he gives you basic advice about how to better yourself, but he also sex traffics women. And I feel like we're at that we're at that really weird area where like it doesn't matter the good you do because that's just so bad. So,
and it's just not fair. All he wants to do is help a generation of men, and then so what? He's the bad guy. Men need
I mean, he's definitely trolling. Okay.
the voice. That's where me and Mark Elliott agree. Given your commitment to pursue truth and openness to challenge prevailing narratives, Mark said in his email to me.
If you like Andrew Tate, that is a red flag to me. We're kind of at that point where it's like willful ignorance. If you don't, I don't know. You're probably just a young man. God bless you. So yeah, okay.
You would be fascinated with my story and the recent developments that have unfolded in the case against Mr. Ramirez. Specifically, 7 digital forensic experts, including 4 former FBI, have come forward with evidence showing that with scientific certainty that the FBI tampered with the child prawn digital evidence in the trial. Keith was convicted of having child P word and, you know, all kinds of other horrible stuff, which he's all innocent of, according to Mark. Also, I want to Mark, one thing that I find really interesting about Mark is that through NXIVM and with Keith's teaching, Mark, who has Tourette syndrome, is complete. He just said, I'm done. He did, my mind is more powerful than this. And I'm done with Tourette's, he said. So he asked me, would you be open for a short call? He says, I have no doubt you will be at least very intrigued. Thanks for your time. So that's Mark, inspirational speaker. And I said to myself, I am interested. I do want to talk to Mark.
Okay.
And so Mark is actually on the phone, and you know we've been setting this up for a couple of weeks. So Mark, whenever you're ready, there he is. Thanks, man, for being here. That's so awesome to meet someone like you.
That's great. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, I can hear you great.
Nice.
Okay, perfect. I heard a little bit of the introduction. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. So why did you reach out to me? I guess, first of all, I'm curious about your whole journey. Maybe you could start there.
Well, you know, as I had wrote you in the email, you know, myself and my team, we had been researching different people that are willing ultimately to challenge the status quo.
Right.
And of course, the Andrew Tate was one of the biggest stories. You know, it was an international story.
Not for nothing, but like Andrew Tate used to be the status quo. Like, hey, let's just take advantage of women. Like, when challenging the status quo, no offense, is what feminism did. And not all like there are people who use the new age narrative to be very toxic. I'm not going to say that they're not. There are some young TikTok girls who are very annoying. But ultimately, I mean, it's ironic to say that you're just challenging the status quo when back in the day, we also had people that went around and claimed that they were able to cure people's ailments, even though they couldn't too. So you guys are kind of holding on to that status quo, I feel. But
and there was, you know, some people like yourself that were willing to at least question.
Right.
With our situation with Keith and NXIVM is that there has been basically one narrative for the past 5 years. This actually started about 5 years ago.
Okay.
It was in 2000. It was in October of 2017.
Now, just to clarify,
Keith
Ramirez is the leader, I guess, I don't know what's the correct term, of NXIVM, and he was convicted for, it was like 7 different felonies, huh? But he didn't do any of it.
Yeah, so I'll definitely get to all of that. What he was convicted.
He's got to build the story. Oh, he's got to build. Wait, why am I? Oh, they got slammed. I'm gonna die. Oh wait, no, I'm not. He's got to build the story first. He's got to give you like the baseline level. What? How are these not up yet? What? How? Whatever.
Of many different things, including sex trafficking, forced labor, racketeering,
wire fraud.
Although I believe wire fraud. Yeah.
Okay,
now, although I believe, you know, he's innocent, that's ultimately not why I reached out to you.
Right.
It was given the fact that the narrative was, you know, basically an international narrative creating this, you know, basically was a hate campaign against Keith Raniere and NXIVM and the community.
Wow.
Sure.
Anyone that was
snake oil salesman
trying to speak out was basically vilified. You know, anyone that, you know, came out.
So hold on. What's this guy's name? Keith something?
In support of, forget Keith, even just came out of support of NXIVM, was vilified in the media.
I actually really support NXIVM. I think it's super interesting what they've been able to do. I want to say Andrew Tate, I totally poke holes in that. Like, I don't know if you've been following the case in Romania, but like there's so many red flags that says he's innocent. I don't know if you've been following that.
I haven't been following it closely. Obviously, it's definitely been something I've been.
They might have said it, but racketeering activities, human trafficking, sex offenses, fraud. Yeah, he sounds like a great guy. I would definitely the Matrix just trying to get him.
Watching from afar, as it seems like there's just a lot of similarities in the fact that you know, we live in a time that if you make someone a monster in the media, you know, it's, you know, guilty. You know, basically you're guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
You then the authorities can then ultimately do whatever they want to the person.
Sorry to cut off. Actually, Keith was convicted of 7 crimes, though.
Yeah, the reason I said that is because before the trial even happened, he was already vilified and made a monster. You even have, even on the Dr. Oz show, this was before Keith was even arrested. You have Dr. Oz saying on national television that Keith raped and tortured women.
Oh my God.
Just so you
well, it seems to be true, no? You know, I don't know how I feel about Dr. Oz, but I will say that if it was, I mean, why didn't he get, if I imagine he would have had like huge legal troubles if it was false, but it doesn't seem to be.
You know, even after he was convicted of these charges, and this is what's mind-blowing for a lot of people, Keith Raniere, who's, you know, this alleged sex cult leader of an international sex cult, if you actually look at the charges and the evidence of what he was convicted for, there's not a single charge. This is crazy. There's not a single charge of violence, weapons, or drugs, and there's not a single charge of Keith Raniere having sex with someone.
Okay. Well, if he had a rape charge, that's not sex. So,
well, let's see here. Count two. Let's see. Sexual exploitation of a child. He was convicted of that, right? Because I want to clear his name with you. So he was convicted of sexual exploitation of a child, possession of child pornography. He was convicted of trafficking for labor and services, extortion, sex trafficking, forced labor, attempted sex trafficking. So he tried and failed, but in other ways he was successful. That's what they claim, right? But it's outrageous that and he was never, he was never violent, and so that kind of says it all, huh?
Yeah, I want to be.
Yeah, well. Oh my God, this is insane. I don't even know what to say because obviously Ethan is trolling, but obviously you don't have to be violent to do any of these things. There's different coercive behaviors, which may even be considered violence, but a lot of people are just like, if somebody doesn't get hit, it's not violence. But that, you know, there's the threat of it. So
super clear. There's most of what people have heard about Keith in the media, and then what the government, you know, put out there in the media as well, is, in my opinion, completely false, and most of it is completely fabricated.
Right.
Again, that's not my intent of why I wanted to come, you know, on and talk with you guys.
A pretty big one, but,
obviously, if we had longer, you know, conversations, we could look at more specifics and things about Keith Raniere and who he is as a person. But in the emails, why I got in touch with you is that one of the things that happened right before the trial, you know, here you had an investigation for a whole year. And there were 6 co-defendants, and this whole case was about consenting adults. And then 55 days before trial,
it was also about wire fraud, trafficking, racketeering, child pornography.
Yeah, so those were all the different charges.
Okay.
But even with
Sorry.
Well, just to be clear though, even with all of these horrific charges, sex trafficking, forced labor, racketeering, none of the co-defendants had pled guilty. None of them had pled guilty, which is almost unheard of in federal court. I think.
What? Wait, so because nobody pled guilty, it was unheard. Who cares if they plead guilty or not? What?
It's like 97%.
You couldn't flip them because they're innocent. There's nothing to flip.
I feel like that's not rare. People don't plead guilty even when they're guilty. That has to be normal. That's why the trials go to court, right? Like, this guy's living on the fucking moon here. This is crazy. Holy shit.
So the thing is that 55 days before trial, all of a sudden the FBI found child pornography. And when I say child pornography,
wow, only 55 days before. You mean after they investigated him and they planned on having him go to trial and they probably seized his assets, they found more stuff on his computer? That doesn't make any logical sense to me whatsoever. I can't believe they did that. What a crazy thing. I mean, frankly, I think that what the government should be more interested in instead of this topic is looking at Hunter Biden's laptop. Am I right? I mean, like, why haven't we done that? Why haven't we done that, guys? Oh, so we're going after this guy who molested children and stuff, but we're not going to go after a guy who has a cocaine problem and that's fucking prostitutes? Like, come on, dude. Like, those are obviously the same thing. What's happening in our world? It's crazy. We got to investigate Hunter Biden, bro. Come on. We got to get him. We got to get this guy.
They found 22 photos of a nude woman on an external hard drive. It wasn't on his computer. It wasn't on a camera. It was on a random external hard drive.
What, like you just found it on the street? Or he happened to possess an external hard drive that he kept pictures of women on? Because does this guy not know what like external hard drives are? Like,
in a residence that many people frequent in. It wasn't even Keith's home. So of course, the moment they found that, it completely changed the whole dynamic of the case, where now you have minors involved.
Right, and they could have planted it. I mean, the FBI has a track record of doing stuff like that. I mean, they're just monsters. The FBI, I don't trust them at all, and I think they probably planted it. But my concern, at least just
might be a base take. Did they plant stuff on like Martin Luther King and stuff like that?
From the optics point of view, because again, I'm on your guys' side. Camille was a 15-year-old who testified. She wrote a victim statement, impact statement, that said that he actually raped
He
her.
refers to the 15. Wait, so apparently like the person on the external hard drive was like a child, and he referred to them as a woman. Wow, that's a little sussy, huh?
When she was 15.
Jesus.
And she put out a statement and all that. It's crazy. She said she met him when he was 13. And then when she was 15, he was 45 and he slept with her. But that's just
13,
why was she lying like that?
Yeah, so I want to make something very clear. I don't support sexual assault against women in any way.
No, I
And
know.
any of my friends.
Guys, I can't believe he said it, dude. What a fucking base take. Holy shit. Wow.
Of course.
Who are out there. I just want to make that very clear.
Of
It's a very
course.
sensitive subject.
Yeah, of course.
What?
Oh my god. Does this guy like has he never watched Ethan before? His voice is like really off. It's very clear that he's fucking around with the guy. This is something else, huh?
What I was saying though, and then I will get to she did say those things. But what's important to realize is that the child pornography was all of a sudden found 55 days before trial, and then all other co-defendants pled guilty. So not only was he charged with possession of child pornography, he then was also charged with sexual exploitation of a minor, which is probably one of the most egregious charges somebody can get against them, charged against them, which ultimately is a death sentence for many people.
Yeah, and just to go back to what you're saying, 50.
Hey, well, who's crying about that?
55 days before trial. It's like, when did they have the time to investigate that, you know?
Yeah. When did they have the time to investigate that? Yeah, that's true, man. When did they have the time to investigate? That's fucking, he's killing me. There's no way this guy really didn't pick up on this.
They also had this hard drive and this alleged camera for over a year.
So
yeah, that's the context which happened right before trial.
Is that true?
Yes, Camille, her name is Cami. She did give a victim impact statement, but what is important for people to realize is that a victim impact statement is...
what's important to realize is that obviously this girl's dumb. You can't take her word for it because she's just a child. So he couldn't have done it.
After the trial is over, after the verdict. So it's a statement not given under oath. Well after the trial is over. And she also didn't testify.
Oh, who cares? So we're saying that a 15-year-old girl, or maybe she was like, I don't know if she's a little older by then, a girl that was traumatized at 15, maybe even 13, didn't want to stand in front of a court and say what happened to her because it was probably deeply traumatic and she's a child. So they got a victim impact report and then they brought that to the trial instead. I'm assuming that's what actually happened. Okay. Wow. What a surprise, guys. Like, we're not going to grill a child because that's what happens. They're going to get cross-examined by the lawyers, and it's that lawyer's job to defend their defendant, even if they're guilty. You know, you're supposed to get due process. So, whatever. Like, I don't care. Sorry. Shouldn't have fucking molested a kid.
You think she's lying, essentially. I mean, or at least there'd be no consequence to her lying, right?
That's my point. I'm not here to debate whether or not.
Yeah, you don't want to call her a liar. I get it. But you know what's crazy?
What I'm saying is.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm just saying it's important that if we want to live in a society that has due process and we care about justice, it's important to question.
Absolutely.
It's important to question. And my point is.
The only justice I care about is Victoria justice. Okay, dude? Fuck everything else.
If somebody gives a victim impact statement and says, I was raped and this happened, I'm not saying that's not true, but you can't say that that's ultimately true due process when someone's not under oath.
For sure. There was no trial.
And so that's my point.
There was no trial. Like, why was supposed to take her impact statement seriously when there was no trial?
That is my point.
Okay.
What I do know, which is under oath and sworn statements, is what I got in touch with you about with respect to. We now have 7 digital forensic experts, and this is what's incredible.
Okay.
4 of the 7 are former FBI.
Before we go down that thread, I just wanted to mention, and I don't know if this is an issue for you guys, but there was 15 other victim impact statements from all different individuals. So that's like, dang, how do we get over that?
Again, if we had like a 3-hour podcast, I can go into different things. Okay. This is the short of it, though. Just to even answer, like I said, my intent wasn't to try to defend or combat like all these different allegations. But again,
it sounds like the intention is absolutely to combat it. So let's just be very clear here.
People don't realize the way that the narrative was out there is that 17,000 people from around the world took these courses. Okay. 1 in 400. Participants in the classes that Keith had created were billionaires. We had people from Stanford, from Harvard, entrepreneurs. These were very thoughtful, rational people taking courses that had a profound effect on their life.
Right? I mean, science.
What does that have to do with anything? Because there was one of them, like 400 of them were billionaires or whatever. What does that mean? What does that mean at all?
Scientology is the same way, and they get vilified too. They have tons of famous people, tons of rich people, and it's unfair that Scientology is vilified, don't you think?
True.
I haven't taken Scientology.
Right,
I don't
okay,
agree with.
okay.
Yeah, but my point is I don't agree with character assassination.
Right.
Or speaking badly about a group just because they're different or you don't like them.
Sure.
But
Okay, I
the
got
reason
you.
I mentioned about the 17,000
Hey
is
guys,
that if you
normalize maps, okay? That's what he's basically saying. I don't want to talk shit about maps, guys. They're people too.
actually look at the trial in the NXIVM trial, there's actually out of 17,000 people, I think in the trial, don't take my word for it, I think there's only three people that were students of the 17,000 that were even claiming they were victims of a crime.
So the only
three out of 17,000.
So basically, like, let's say you have a school and has 17,000 people in it. Okay, that's a big school, and let's say only 3 of them were like molested or raped. Like, is it that big of a deal? 3 out of 17,000. It's like, you know, I know that those 3 people have a trauma for life, but like, it's only 3 people, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what does it really matter? Like, who cares? You know, like, basically, what my thing is, I don't think that anybody who commits any sexual crime should be punished unless they've done that to at least 4 people. I think that you should have to do once you hit 4. Like 3 is like, okay, you know, it's just 3. But once you hit 4, it's like, okay, now we're starting to get serious. So, you know, I think everybody should be able to sexually assault 3 people before they go to jail. Obviously, hit those. Yeah, get the 4th is the one that actually matters. Basically, is, you know, that's just science to me, right? So,
people claim that they were molested by Keith.
Well, no, they weren't even claiming that they were molested. There's not even. This is like how the insanity and the exaggeration of what's out there.
Right.
There's not a single charge of Keith assaulting or raping or hurting anyone means of violence. There's nothing in the trial.
It doesn't matter if it's violent or not.
Right. There's no violence. They're only saying he coerced them, but that's not really a crime, is it?
Well, that's what they're claiming. But
right.
My point is that if you want to look at the reality, if you even want to say that everything that happened in the trial is true, this is a man who's now convicted and sentenced to 120 years without any violence, weapons, drugs.
Right. And
who cares? This guy's an idiot.
Totally. And I'm with you 100% because coercion is not even a crime. Like it's not illegal to manipulate people.
Well,
it just means you're smarter in a way. You know what I mean? Like if you're able to manipulate people to do what you want, it just means you're smarter.
Based as fuck.
So again, and this is a whole conversation about, you know, things in the trial.
Right.
But the bigger issue, the thing that is, I think, vital and relevant to everyone who's listens to you, and then also just citizens in the United States. We now have 4 former FBI agents that were digital forensic experts that have come out that under sworn testimony shows that the child pornography evidence was to a scientific certainty tampered with and also planted.
That is very concerning.
Some of the evidence points. And some of the evidence points that some of the modifications took place while in the possession of the
What's
FBI.
The modification?
That is very concerning. So what is the
What's the
So what's the goal here? To get a retrial for Keith?
Well, the ultimate goal is trying to investigate these crimes.
Wait, I wish Ethan would ask him how was it tampered with? Like, what does that mean?
There's clear beyond probable cause that crimes were committed by FBI agents and potentially even prosecution, and maybe other entities as well in the DOJ.
So we're going to
and that is an effect of that because crimes were committed against someone who is being tried in a trial to convict them.
Right.
That person should ultimately be let free.
Let him free.
And so Keith,
let free Keith. Well, what's interesting is that, first of all, the FBI is a criminal organization just from the start. I mean, it's insane the things that they've done to people, like tampering evidence in the case of Keith. But I think that because they did that, we should probably just expunge the extortion, the identity theft, the forced labor, the conspiracy to commit identity theft, exploiting of a child, forced labor.
They broke character. When does this guy smarten up and realize that he's getting fucking bamboozled here? Can you see Ethan?
Wire fraud and so we should expunge all those.
Oh my god!
It took me a second to get your humor because there's also a little delay. I was like, is he making a joke? I was like,
I know. Sorry, I just. Yeah, but so what do we do about those other ones, right? Because we got to convince everyone that Keith is like a cool dude.
It took him a second. We're like, what is this? We're like 20 minutes in. This guy doesn't realize he's getting fucking dunked on.
Well, this is what I'm saying is that we don't need to convince anyone of how cool he is. Someone can think that Keith Raniere, they can believe he's the devil. That's ultimately irrelevant and a distraction to the reality of, did this person receive due process? If we want to live in a society that we want to have a justice system that treats everyone exactly the same, whether you think someone is the devil or you think someone is Mr. Rogers, they should be treated exactly the same under the law. Now, if it's the case that the government actually had evidence on Keith Raniere, then the question then becomes, well, why would they need to fabricate and tamper with evidence?
Right. That is the question. Free Keith.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well,
I want to talk
to answer.
Oh, go ahead. I wanted to ask you
Just
about
the
your
last thing.
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to just make one other comment, because you said, as I know you were being facetious about all these other charges.
Yeah.
If you again, there's these buzzwords of sex trafficking and forced labor. Yes, those on its face value sound
buzzwords. Sex trafficking and forced labor are buzzwords, guys. Holy fuck.
horrific.
Right, but what does it even mean?
Exactly. Like when you think of, if you heard that you're, someone that got charged with sex trafficking, what would you imagine?
I would imagine somebody was locked.
I'd imagine them hanging themselves. Hopefully, I don't know. That's horrible.
To what do you call? Yeah, locked to a radiator, forced to do like webcam work, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's that, by the way, is a real thing. Sex trafficking, people being kidnapped, forced into sex slavery, is a real thing. If you actually look at the evidence of what happened in this trial, you have a 29-year-old female who is an actress living in Manhattan, who was a part of the NXIVM community. She was taking classes. She was in a relationship with Keith. She also had a history of being more kinky. Together, they had come up with an experience where, and this is literally, if you look at the transcript.
I met a lot of girls who like the sex traffic role play. It's like their biggest thing. The coercive abuse role play is really big in the kink community long term.
What happened? One woman, this 29-year-old, received oral sex from another woman, and no money was exchanged.
Okay.
She took a bus from Brooklyn to Albany.
Right.
And they convicted Keith Raniere of sex trafficking.
Just because she was kinky.
What does that have to do with anything? Is he talking? Is he saying that the other guy forced him to do it, or that she just did this like one time? She had like a fucking lesbian experience, and so because of that, she's less than. I don't understand the argument.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
Right.
The same woman, the 29-year-old actress, she's also the victim of the alleged forced labor. This is a woman who had to transcribe 5 hours of video for a memorial, and she read 50 articles that Keith had written, and she gave feedback on them and actually loved reading them. He was convicted of forced labor.
Because she wasn't paid for her work, or what?
Well, that's what they were claiming.
And how old
they
was
were
she?
able to concoct. She was 29 years old. But my point is that there's what's in the media, which isn't, and of course, if you hear these words, it's not like I don't hear these things: forced labor, sex trafficking, and it causes me to have caution. And I'm like, holy crap, what happened here?
So
but
this one sounds really bad, and hopefully, because you have such an intimate understanding and you have a great way of explaining it. So how do we do the sexual exploitation of a child? Because that one sounds so bad. So how do we break that one down?
That one is also related to the child pornography, as I said. So they found 22 photos of a naked woman. Now, by looking at the photos is not how they realized that it was child pornography.
But it's women he knew, right? It was girls he knew.
Yeah, these are women that he knew.
Yeah, and so somebody had pictures of them naked when they were kids, but it wasn't Keith.
Well,
yeah, how'd they get those pictures, Keith? Or
no, but this is just if I could just finish real quick, is that the 22 photos were not deemed child pornography because they were photos of some sexual act. The way that they deemed them to be child pornography was based off of the file dates. And based off of the file dates, they then said when the photos were taken is when this person
probably didn't even look.
What? What's the argument there? They're saying that they're not basing it off their actual age. They're basing it off of the when the picture was. What? So this guy's saying that they're not basing it off the actual age of the person. They're just basing it off when the picture was created, and then referencing their age. That now, and it's like, let's say she's 18 now, and the picture was taken 4 years ago. She was 14, but that's not accurate enough. That's not accurate enough for him. Okay. Wow. So they're using math to determine age and dates. I agree. Math is hard. I don't think that we should base any of these things solely on math. It doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you just subtract? Like, oh, this was like 36 months earlier. Like, how do you do 36 months? Like, the year is 12 months. That doesn't make sense. It should be 10 months, basically.
Like kids in the picture.
That's what that's my point is that by looking at the photo, they weren't deemed child pornography.
And I mean, if you saw the photo, which you should get a hold of those photos, they probably look like
I have not seen
adults.
I have not seen the photos.
Oh, you have
those are those are contraband photos.
Right.
But my point is that again, when you hear the word child pornography, it incites all these horrible images and fears. But what we're talking about is not on someone's computer, not on their camera, not on a camera card, in a random external hard drive. There's 22 photos.
Right.
Of a naked woman who they deemed was underage because of the file dates. So just the last thing is the sexual exploitation of a minor is because supposedly they were able to link through a media card and from a camera, and that media card to a scientific certainty by 7 digital forensic experts, 4 former FBI, was modified while in the possession of the FBI because they were able to link that media card to a camera that's allegedly Keith owned. That's how he was charged with sexual exploitation of a minor.
So how what's the claim from this guy? Like, how did they modify it? Because they opened the file? Yeah, free Keith, I'm convinced. True. I mean, if it's this easy to prove Keith's innocence, like this guy has already done multiple times in this podcast, then clearly Keith didn't get a very good lawyer. They obviously gave him like a shit lawyer, and they rigged the trial. No, his reasoning isn't that she looked old enough. His reasoning is he's a fucking moron that doesn't understand how file dates on computers works. He's probably saying modified because they probably opened it and like that's it. I don't know if that would consider it modified, but there's like nothing there when it actually gets modified. The guy's just fucking a moron. He's just a dumb dipshit idiot. Like, holy shit.
Ridiculous that like that's all they need.
Wait, I don't know if you're...
Okay. This is what happened. Basically, they drove the pictures backwards like a car, and it reduced the mileage. So they were actually like the girls. Let's say the girl's 18 now. She's actually 21. But they rolled it backwards. She's 18 now. The pictures were actually from when she was 21 because it's like time travel. Like he was able to get that. But they were able to roll it back by driving the photo backwards. Like, so you put the thumb drive, you put the upside down, and then you just kind of like move backwards. And that's how they got these like stuff. This is basically what happened. I've seen people do it before.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's scary the world we live in where like and people can just say whatever, and then like, oh, you just change the data on a file card, and that's all it takes. It's It's scary. As a man, I'm scared of that.
Everyone should be scared of this. This is why the reason we're trying to reach out to people is because the narrative is so strong, and the prejudice against Keith and NXIVM is so intense. Is that basically it stops people from having a rational, open conversation about wait a minute, what actually took place here? And what took place here is not just there was some prejudice in a trial. Is that clearly you have government actors, specific personnel in the FBI. And again, this is not an attack on the
like Steve Carell, government actors, Tom Hanks.
Whole FBI.
Actually, there's one thing I want to get your thoughts on here. So Camilla's the one who he apparently had photos of. That was the 15-year-old girl who did an impact statement. Or she did an impact statement and said that he took her virginity when she was 15, which is outrageous. I mean, the thing is, you can't.
How's he going to do this one?
If she was willing, what's the problem? I don't get it. But anyway, right? You understand that.
I can't with this.
Again,
even if she was willing, and if she was coerced, that would make her willing to some capacity. That's not how consent even works. Consent isn't like it. You can't consent as a child. Obviously, we all know this. I'm just fucking saying.
Right.
Whether or not that happened or
it's
didn't
not
happen,
assault if she liked it. And Keith is awesome.
I'm starting to, I'm feeling your humor a little bit more. Like I said, there's a little delay as well.
So Camilla,
I just want to be
Camilla,
super clear again. I don't support sexual assault, rape in any way.
It sounds like
I'm not here to be able to be a referee about what he said or she said or what happened behind closed doors. What I do know is that I don't believe that somebody giving a victim impact statement that isn't under oath, which is basically no different from somebody going on Twitter and saying, I was raped by this person.
Right. It's
with absolutely no due process.
Right. Because
he looked at.
And, and without any picture evidence, like there's no pictures anywhere of this girl underage. So how could you even figure this out? It's crazy. It's nuttery.
He doesn't even know them. So it's like the same as a random tweet. Like they've never even met.
No, they
do
have
know
met
each other. Okay.
They do know, but they do know each other.
They do know each other.
But do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this girl, Camille, who she said in her impact statement that Raniere and his co-conspirator, who also trafficked Daniela for labor and services, said they confined her to a hotel room, or to a room, for nearly 2 years in an attempt to force Daniela to work for him. And then Daniela was told that if she left the room, she would be sent to Mexico without any identifying documents. So that's probably what they mean by like sex trafficking or or forced labor, but that's just someone on Twitter just making shit up.
Well, did you see the second season of The Vow?
No, I didn't watch the second season.
What
Was that? Yeah.
Gotcha.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
It's incredible. Again, from just the label of somebody,
Wait, was this girl on the show The Vow and she said it on there? Like, I'm not understanding the connection to The Vow. Is that what it is? Like, Raniere, The Vow. Is that, what is it from? I'm so confused about that. Oh, it's about the cult. Oh, I thought it was like a reality TV show. That's where I got confused. Like, I've been watching this one, I forget what it's called, like where these couples get together that wouldn't get married yet, and they're like all date each other or something. It's weird. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, my bad. I thought it was like, what I thought was that like this girl went on The Vow, and which is like some kind of one of those marriage shows where like you get a month to get to know each other and then get married, and then obviously it'll all work out perfectly, you know. Okay.
I think it's document servitude. That sounds horrible.
Right.
But again, if you just look at the facts, this is a young girl who is in a room in her family's home.
Okay.
Like she was in a room and the door wasn't locked.
Right.
And if anyone questions me on that, this is incredible. This is how amazing how a documentary can seemingly put.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what he's referring to, but what I do know is, you ever see that like on horses, or like cows? You ever notice that cows are in pens that they can't actually hold them, but they don't escape because it's like they're made to believe that they can't escape? It's like that. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. Isn't it crazy?
Music on something and make it seem horrific.
Right.
In the documentary, they're actually doing
it's like an interesting psychological process. It's like the same thing with horses. Like, you don't even have to really tether them down; they just will stay. It's very interesting. That's what I'm hearing here. No,
voiceover of her reading like from her lines from the court transcript. So they're reading it verbatim from what she said in court as she was testifying under oath. And at the very end of this episode, as she's talking about how she's been confined to this room for 2 years.
Right.
Do you know how the scene ends?
How?
no.
She says, and then I walked out of the room.
Oh, because she could have left the whole time. They don't really put
because
that
she
out
could have.
there.
Of course, but it's it's the scary music and it's haunting and this illustrations and the cartoon and it's.
Yeah.
But the way that it's in the media, it sounds as if Keith Raniere kidnapped this person,
I understand.
Put them in a room.
Yeah. I want to ask you.
And that is the issue of, again, of why I reached out is that in the media can do whatever they want and paint anyone, with whatever color.
Look what they did with Donald Trump, bro. They did my man dirty, you know? Oh, I can get it right there. Ooh.
They want to create a certain image, and that does not necessarily match the reality of even just basic facts.
Because it's basically her fault for not leaving the room. And what's even crazier is that the whole jury basically, they all got, I don't know how the whole jury agreed on that. But I want to ask you about your experience with Tourette syndrome. I'm super, super fascinated by this. This is so this is why kind of NXIVM is kind of interesting, because everyone always just kind of sees like the bad side. That's what's famous now. But NXIVM actually has been helping people in these incredible ways. For example, you had debilitating Tourette syndrome, right? And then I think you joined NXIVM, and Keith was able to help you overcome Tourette's. It totally, like totally cured. Like your Tourette's is 100% gone.
So yes, the answer is I no longer have Tourette syndrome.
Wow!
And it was through the courses that Keith created. It wasn't even one-on-one sessions with anything like that with Keith.
Wow!
It was he had created a curriculum that was around the world. Like I said, 17,000 people took it. I went through the classes just like everybody else.
How do you cure Tourette? It's just this guy's so fucking weirdo, bro. Like, I don't understand it. Okay, what's his explanation?
But as I went through them and started to build more self-awareness about myself, I mean, ultimately the courses are classes on emotional intelligence. We had a center here in New York City.
Now it makes sense. People that have Tourette's are dumb as shit. They're not very emotionally intelligent. That makes perfect sense to me. I wasn't picking up what he was putting down before, but now I am.
5th and 37th Street, where it's just you go and sit in chairs and you have conversations with people.
And that cured your Tourette's?
That is
just having that.
I just want to be clear. It's not.
Go ahead.
Yes, it was through these conversations and through these classes, which were a lot of them were philosophical inquiries about different aspects of life. There were practical things. It was also a goal-setting thing for entrepreneurs. Okay. And it was through these classes and these conversations that beat my Tourette's completely mind over body.
Wow. And so what is it that you tell yourself? Like, just stop ticking. Like, come on, don't be a pussy or whatever. Or I know, I'm joking. I don't mean it like that. But like, I'm over this shit. Sucks. Tourette's is fucking annoying, and I'm just over it.
Yeah, so it's not like that at all. The most simple way that I can describe it is that I've always talked about Tourette's is like there's an itch and there's a scratch.
Oh yeah.
And the Tourette's is that uncomfortable feeling. Mm-hmm. And then
It's kind of true, but it's not really that simple. Like when it comes to Tourette's, it's like it's a feeling of like distress when you don't do a thing, or when it comes to at least my tics, it's like a distressing feeling where like I feel like I have to do this thing. It's not just like an itch and a scratch. Like I can, like right now I'm making it so I don't tick. Like I can actually stop it, but it just physically distresses me. Like I feel like I need to do the tick, and like I'm just kind of doing a disservice to myself almost by not doing it. Like it's not that simple of it's just like a silly itch and scratch thing. It's much more complicated than that.
The ticking is me scratching that itch, and
sure.
most treatments and the way that we look at Tourette's is, okay, how do we just help the person with this dynamic? So if you take medication, it numbs the itch, so that stops you from wanting to scratch it because you don't feel the intense.
If you're talking to someone with Tourette syndrome, what would kind of be your advice to them? Because I know it's just a horrible disease for the people who haven't cured it for themselves yet, and I feel like this knowledge. What would be your advice?
Well, I don't say. Just to be clear, I've never said, and so we actually had a documentary that came out. It's called My Tourette's. It's on YouTube for free now.
Okay.
Sadly, almost no one in the world knows about it. It came out after, the negative press, the real negative press, started coming out about 5 years ago.
Okay.
But in this documentary, you watch these profound transformations of people beating Tourette's mind over body. But even in the movie, we don't say it's a cure. This is not it. We didn't have a cure for Tourette's. Clearly, we had a set of tools for people that were open and wanted to go on a different type of journey, go on more of a looking inward.
But you guys did cure
for
it.
some.
You said it's 100% gone. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. That's not.
Yeah, I just don't say. The reason I don't say cure is because also I just don't think of it as something that you can cure in that way. I have like a completely different. I don't even think of it as a medical disorder in that way now. But I just want to be super clear: is that it's. I don't know if we could help everyone. I don't know that the people that we helped wanted to be helped.
Okay.
If someone wants to lose weight, they can have the best trainer in the whole world. But if they don't want to lose weight,
but weight's
doesn't matter if you got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but being fat is not a neurological disorder. So that's what really interests me. Because to all the literature, it says Tourette's cannot be cured. So it's incredible.
Look, you're preaching to the choir.
Right.
I lived with it for 20 years. I became a well-known inspirational speaker around the country, talking about Tourette's, living with Tourette's.
How do you? But I don't understand how did his tics manifest in like his speaking? Like, how do you suppress and what was the severity of his tics? I don't understand. Like, that's my thing. How do you hide it? I don't understand.
My whole life was based off of Tourette's.
I can't imagine how hard that
I get it. It was, so then to take a class on emotions and now to be able to have a conversation with you like this, I couldn't even have dreamt of it. I mean, it just wasn't even something that could be possible because of like what you said.
I feel like if you have Tourette's, if you had like an actual serious Tourette's, you know what I mean? That's something that's mild. How do you become a fucking public speaker? I mean, I guess it wasn't that serious. I don't know.
Tourette's is neurological genetic disorder that's involuntary and has no cure. Luckily, because of what Keith created, and with Nancy Salzman, who also is in jail now,
nice guy, to be honest.
I've been able to go on a profound journey to live a very different life.
Can I ask you a question?
To answer your question,
do you still get the urge to do tics, or is that completely gone? Like, where did you cut it off?
So the thing about the itch and the scratch, because of how the courses were very different, it's not like I'm sitting here and my itch is 100% and I'm just like, okay, don't tick, don't say something, hold it back.
Right.
So he's saying that he has verbal tics. Oh, that's even worse. Like, I never had verbal tics. I have like facial tics and stuff. He said the N-word? Me too, but it wasn't a tick. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I've said it in the past, and I'm not proud of it. But wait, so this guy just rail off the fucking hard R, and he's like, it's a tick, guys. It's not my fault. Oh shit, that's based. Holy fuck.
The courses were different than any other thing that I did, is because by going on that exploration, I found out that my itch was way more emotional and psychological than it was physiological. And as a result,
emotional tick.
And working.
I mean, like, listen, when I get more like frustrated, my tics go up. But like, what the fuck? What is an emotional tick? Tics can happen randomly, and they may be associated with something like stress and anxiety. Yeah, for me too. Oh, tiredness, true.
Internal issues I had, anger stuff.
They're also, another thing that's interesting about tics is they're also associated with Lyme disease. So be careful, guys.
Beliefs about all this sort of stuff. As a result of that, my itch went down. So right now, do I still have an itch?
Yeah.
It's not at 0, but it's probably at 4 out of 100.
Okay.
100. Fuck.
So to call that Tourette's is not, I don't even think of it as Tourette's. I think of it as I'm a person that has a body, and all of us have uncomfortable things. And what I come to understand, and this is for me, is that ultimately I
have a small cock, but my balls are pretty big. So like sometimes it gets uncomfortable because I'll sit on them. Especially since I'm getting old, they're starting to sag. They're starting to sag. So that's just kind of my my struggle as a high value male. So,
in a sense, had an impulse disorder.
Mm.
It doesn't mean I had a neurological disorder.
I found this video, or this old video of you, I found really...
An impulse disorder? I mean, even if you have like an impulse control disorder, isn't OCD like an impulse control disorder? So like, it doesn't really matter. It's like a psychological issue.
Compelling from 14 years ago. Do you mind if I watch it real fast for the audience? Just to kind of give you some background? Yeah, so this is from 14...
Absolutely.
This was 14 years ago from a local news story or something like that, right? That covered your story?
Yeah, yes.
And did you... Yeah, so, okay, let me watch it.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were about to press play.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm going to press play right now, okay?
Yeah, play it. Let's see what we got here.
Are you okay if I press play?
Oh yeah, sorry. I thought you were hitting it.
Okay.
This is going to be bad. Press play, Ethan.
Can you play it, Dan?
Oh,
it's on me. It's on me.
Okay.
You got to hit play.
Are you ready, Mark?
I'm ready.
Is this going to be that bad?
The day before my 17th birthday is when I really ran into the greatest obstacle I had ever encountered with my Tourette syndrome.
A St. Louis area teenager who says he has Tourette syndrome claims he was kicked off a Greyhound bus in Indianapolis because of his disability.
I got on the bus and they made an announcement about my Tourette syndrome. And earlier in line, a lady had heard me saying some inappropriate words. And she stood up and she said, well, how come he can say this word?
With that, this Clayton High Jr. who turned 7.
Oh, no. There's no way you could just will that away. There's no way. Dude, did you see what he just did? Oh, my God, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
And she stood up and she said, well, how come he can say this word?
With that, this Clayton High Jr.
Oh, my God.
who turned.
And she stood up and she said, well, how come he can say this word?
With that.
There's no way he has Tourette's. That's why I'm laughing at him. Bro, you know, it sucks because sometimes, like, I haven't had this in a long time. This tick has, like, gone away. It's weird, but I haven't had this. This is, like, a super stress tick, and I haven't been super stressed in a while, where I'll, like, violently shake my head back and forth. That shit can fuck you up. I've done that while driving, dude. And it's, like, I don't know how this fucking guy, like, is... There's no way. That was wild.
This Clayton High Jr. who turned 17 tomorrow says he was kicked off the bus in Indianapolis.
So your tick was actually to say the N-word, right?
Yeah, at different times I was saying what would be the worst thing that I could possibly say in a given moment. So, you know, if I was around a fat person, I would want to tick you're fat. If I was around a black person, I would want to tick the N-word.
So at the time,
it was a nightmare.
At the time you were on a bus, and what it seems like from this image, predominantly black, and then you said the N-word on the bus.
Yeah, to make a long story short, I had told the bus driver about my Tourette's before I got on, and then I got on the bus. Then I was taking it more.
We need the bus driver to corroborate this story. Did she get fuck? Oh, I just got dunked on, bro. Oh my God. We need the bus driver to corroborate this story, dude. This is crazy.
And obviously customers were complaining, and rightfully so. I mean, they had no idea what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so. Wait, I wouldn't say it rightfully so if I was getting Touretted. I would be like, that's not right. I'll be like, yeah, people need to understand my disability. It's not really right. Okay. Maybe he's just a nice guy with Tourette's. That's what it is.
You know, as I've gotten older, I actually thought the company dealt with it as well as they could. You know, I mean, it's just a difficult situation. I mean, just because.
I mean, if this was real, you could literally sue them. So I don't know why you're like, there's no way it's real. I just don't believe it. Okay.
Because it's a medical disorder, although I don't see it the same way now. But of course, at the time, you know, what do you do? You know, it's just not. I don't think it's as simple as, oh, well, this person has a disability. They just have, can do whatever they want, carte blanche. Like
well, no, it would kind of be that. Like if you legitimately had Tourette's and you like what diagnosis, you could be like, I have Tourette's. Like you can't treat me like this. Like that's actually a thing. You can't cancel me, Twitter. I didn't say it on purpose. You know, you could legit pull that card, man. It's actually, I would. Oh God! I just pray to God every day. Wait, wow! I lost my game. Fuck.
Very difficult thing because I'm also saying something that's offending people. Oh. Luckily, nothing bad happened. You know, I was safe. It could have escalated and gotten very bad.
So you went. So did you? Okay, so let me keep watching. So you're on.
Yeah, those N-words almost hurt me. Luckily, they didn't. Luckily, they're not the savage animals that I think that they are, and they didn't hurt me because I was in real freaking danger, guys, for saying the N-word to people. Oh my goodness, I was almost hurt.
A bus, and you said the N-word,
the victim,
and then people got mad at you, right? So that's the kind of and then the bus driver kicked you off, yeah. So let me keep watching.
And ultimately,
Police
after
were
a few,
called. Elliot says he was on his way home from a
Better
church
die.
youth camp when the incident happened. Elliot and his family say they've traveled all over the country and never been denied access to transportation. His family calls it a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Up to that point.
I appreciate that you guys all made it into like kind of turned it into like a crusade here and went to the local news about it and stuff because
Crusade.
let me. I have a theory for you.
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. I think you actually fake having Tourette's. Yeah, I think you actually don't have it.
Well, what, I'm open to it.
Here's my
bro. There's no way. If somebody said like, there's no way. It's like I think you're faking Tourette's, and you're like, well, I'm open to your interpretation. Like, what do you? Why? If you had Tourette's, I'd be like, no, dude. Like, I have an issue. Like, stop being invalidating of me. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're obviously a goofball. Why would he just say like, yeah, well, I'm open to I'm open to criticism. What? What does that mean? What?
Hey, what did you think I had?
Well, let me just break it down. I
fucking
think
liar syndrome. Racism.
This is kind of a funny thing. I doubt this is what happened, but maybe you just called someone the N-word on the bus, and then you're like, oh no, I have Tourette's. Because what's interesting to me, and I know that's funny, but what's interesting to me is that you've made like a whole career being a motivational speaker about how you cured your Tourette's and stuff, and that's kind of become like a big part of your identity. But what's interesting is, as somebody with Tourette's, I actually have Tourette's. I know it's not curable, so I just find that claim to be absolutely a pseudoscientific, crazy claim that has no backing in science or at all. And I think you're actually, in my opinion, right, as someone with Tourette's, I think you're scamming people.
Based.
Well, first off, did you say that you have Tourette's?
I do have Tourette's.
I didn't
Isn't
know
that crazy. Yeah, I know. That's why I was so surprised when you emailed me, because I was like,
this guy doesn't even know that Ethan has Tourette's. Damn. He really embarrassed himself by doing like absolutely no research on him at all. Like, Jesus. What a little oopsie poopsie he made on that one, huh, guys? God damn.
Tourette's. And I also fucking hate Andrew Tate. I've like talked like continually and openly, relentlessly about what a piece of shit he is and how much I hate him. And what's interesting too, Mark, is that I've also talked about how much I hate Keith and NXIVM and what a psycho he is. So when I got your email, I was like, this is incredible. And I could totally see how it is you fell into a cult, because you clearly don't do any research.
Damn.
You know, when I saw when I was watching one of your videos, I thought I saw you ticking. And so it did cross.
That's it. I thought I saw you dude, this guy stays on for this much longer. There's no way.
That's my mind. I said, I wonder if he has Tourette's.
Yeah, I do.
Wow. You really thought that?
Why would you? That's so interesting. Why would you think someone would fake it? It's a pretty messed up thing for someone to fake.
No, I agree. But you've made a good living from faking it, doing like motivational stuff and writing books and stuff like that. And it's just, as far as I know, and that's just a theory, right? Because I don't know. I mean, I just have Tourette's myself, but obviously I don't know anything about you. So it's just a theory. But I just think that you can't cure it, actually. And on your website, it says you overcame it, mind over body. And that's just not possible.
But that's why, I don't know if you remember what I just said 2 minutes ago, is that we've never claimed it's a cure.
Right.
But that doesn't make any sense, because then his response would be like, no, we did cure it. I have Tourette's. Like, if you actually had Tourette's and it actually cured you, then you would be saying like, no, dude, you're like wrong. It cured me. Like, maybe it won't work for everybody, but he's like, no, we technically didn't say it was a cure. And you start shitting and coming, you know, like that's the problem here. Like you lose all validity. Not that there was ever really any in the first place, but that's the problem here.
Well, let's see. If we pull up your website, well, when I started, you said you're 100% like over Tourette's, right? You did say that.
Yeah, well, I said that I don't think of it as I have Tourette's anymore.
Right, you don't have it anymore.
I guess what I could say is,
damn, you should say sorry.
Yeah, the fact that you don't like Tate and you don't like Raniere is not a reason that I couldn't talk to someone. If anything, it's about.
Well, no, but
that's not the point of trying to find.
His point was that you didn't even do like basic research, and like you thought that you were gonna, like his whole opening was like, oh, it looks like you give, like you don't listen to the public narratives, and you give charitability to blah 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 blah, and you don't think that Tate really did it, and you question the narratives, and you know, basically talking about the Matrix. I mean, we're fucking basically at that point, and you just got dunked on.
And people that love him. It's if you can find people, even if somebody hates someone, the question is, do we believe that there should be due process in this country?
Yeah,
and are we okay with government officials or FBI agents committing crimes to convict a man? So by somebody not liking him,
but in the email,
by someone,
but
somebody not liking him is, if anything, is definitely better. I definitely did not research deeply every single person. Obviously,
at all. Well, yeah, you know, you didn't look. You actually didn't look into.
Let me see it like deeply, because I feel like, listen, okay, so all you gotta do is Ethan Klein and Andrew Tate. Let's see what we got here. Andrew Tate arrested. Andrew Tate goes after Hila. So I would have been like, okay, Hila, who's this girl? Maybe click on that. Ethan Klein arrested Tate, calling him out. Ethan Klein roasted by Andrew Tate. So these are just a couple of the ones that I'm looking at here. Andrew Tate versus Ethan Klein. So it seems like I would get the idea that he's not really, you know, maybe they're not friends. Now, what's this guy named Keith or Raniere? Let me just say, like, let's say I did Ethan Klein, Keith Raniere. Yeah, I guess you don't find anything here. But maybe the first one.
Do it at all. Like the most basic. But let me break it down, Mark, because in a way, I see you as
well. Just to be very
okay. Go ahead.
To be very blunt.
Go ahead. Yeah, be blunt.
Yeah, you are right. I did not do research.
Yeah.
Someone that I know, who's Keith, currently he's been sitting in the SHU for over 200 days.
Oh, okay.
So they're basically torturing a U.S. citizen.
Good.
While at the same time
he molested children. Good.
and he has filed in the Eastern District of New York with 4 former FBI agents showing that the FBI tampered with digital evidence, and they're now escalating the torture, and they might ship him to what's known as a CMU.
Can I read a excerpt?
It's basically a cum, but backwards. CMU.
Can I read an excerpt for you? It says, this is from your website. This is your website, right? MarkElliott.com.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to beat your Tourette's? I want to help you, but currently the government has threatened to put me in jail for being public about how I completely overcame my Tourette's with NXIVM.
Yep.
So when you say completely overcame, I just assumed that meant like that you have a cure for it.
Yeah, I can address that in a second. We can talk about that. But the point is that
can you cure like bipolar or something? Can you cure like schizophrenia? Because that would be really good for a lot of people.
The reason, because of how big the case is,
right.
And I'm reaching out to people that have influence.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that even though you might hate those people, and I didn't know the depth of how much you dislike them, but
yeah,
okay.
No. Yeah.
Is that there's something that we can agree upon? I thought at least that, are we okay?
Well, we can all agree on we can all agree on photos. Here's photos of his initials being branded into women who accused him of running a clandestine sex cult. Here's his initials branded into their skin.
Jesus Christ!
Here's an up close for you. It says his initial Keith Raniere is branded into their skin.
Wow, that's terrible. What the fuck?
What's your point? That's not what I'm here to talk to you about.
Oh, my point. The point is right. No, that was just for fun. That was just like a funsies thing.
Yeah, but the thing
is just like a fun little group building exercise.
I guess so. Okay.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. Why did he do this? Because if I'm curious, I want to ask you.
The thing is, if you're gonna say things, they need to be factual.
They're just kinky. They're just a little kinky.
But Keith Raniere didn't brand anyone.
Oh, right.
He's not even in the room.
Right. Somebody else branded him for him or something. I don't know. Listen. Is that like, I don't know the context, like did they get branded for like like was that branding like done by somebody who's like really like fucking brainwashed by this cult? Is that what the basically happened? I'm not super understanding, but that's interesting. It's definitely a little psychotic for somebody to get that kind of brand there. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't consensual. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say here. All right, I know that's a hot take, but
coerced people to do it. Yeah, so coercion's a crime. Actually, I think coercion is a crime. Sex trafficking usually happens through coercion, not by locking people to a radiator. So that I think is where we kind of disconnect there. And actually, what's crazy is the jury agreed with me. 12 people agreed.
I had told you before. I know I had told you before.
Oh, and the appeal court.
Crime.
Oh, what's crazy is he appealed, and then the appeals court also upheld these 7 horrific charges against him. So that's like a lot of people.
I wasn't here.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Like I had said,
pretty big infrastructure.
I had said to you in the very beginning is that I believe most of things are not true out there. That doesn't mean there isn't kernels of truth. I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is greater than Keith Raniere, the fact that we have evidence that shows that the FBI committed crimes.
Yeah, but the FBI I agree with you that the FBI is shitty and they do that kind of stuff. But even if we discount everything the FBI allegedly, or you say let's just assume for the sake of this conversation that they did do that, then you still have to explain all these other charges. Like even if he didn't have child pornography on a hard drive, right? And let's just say he didn't do it, it was a conspiracy. Or maybe they changed the metadata. There's still racketeering, forced labor, wire fraud, sex trafficking, extortion. So do you know what I mean? So there's kind of an issue here. If you're,
well, we've been, the thing is, look, this is the first time we've ever met, Ethan.
Yeah.
That's true. That's clearly.
I said to you in the email that if you want to have more of an open, rational conversation where we can challenge things. In the first half of this, I talked to you about some of the facts that it sounded like you were agreeing with. I didn't realize that you were just trying to play me.
Maybe this guy doesn't have Tourette's, but maybe he has autism, because I don't know how the fuck he didn't pick up on Ethan. I'm sorry, people, if you have autism. I don't know how the fuck he didn't pick up on the fact that Ethan was trolling him. I guess he almost got me. He's a pretty sarcastic guy, so I guess I'm just used to it because I watch him fairly often. So, yeah.
The things that I said, I stand by. I don't need to change anything, even though now I know that I guess you were trying to have sort of a gotcha moment. But like I said, with the photos, with the woman, the HBO thing, the sex trafficking, which is a single sex act with no money exchange, these are things that if someone wants to have a conversation.
Right, but you got to understand that no money exchanged and him not doing it himself is kind of the quintessential of a cultish kind of racketeering, like manipulative, coercive act. Like he's not the first person, right? Like Charles Manson, for example. Is Charles Manson guilty of murder? Well, answer that. Is Charles Manson guilty of murder? He never did anything.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll explain it to you. Charles Manson, people say he was a member of a cult. His disciples went under his order or coercion to go and murder this family, right? And so his lawyer said, well, he didn't do anything. He wasn't even there. And so the question is, do you think Charles Manson is guilty? He was in jail right now for being involved in their murders, even though he wasn't there. He never held a knife in his hand. You know what I mean? And no money was exchanged. He didn't even pay them to do it.
I have.
Oh, he's dead. That's a correction. Let me issue a factual correction.
No, this is what I would say. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about the case. Obviously, I know of Charles Manson because of of how it's been. He's a very popularized name.
He's probably innocent too, right?
Well, I don't know, but what I do believe and what I'm absolutely will stand by is that I do think no matter how hated a person is, we should be absolutely open to questioning narratives. We should be able to question
I think
witnesses. We should be able.
I think part of a redemption of accepting people who are bad starts with them, coming to terms with what they've done.
Yeah, true.
But that's what I said from the get-go. I said, I'm not on here to try to get you to like Keith Raniere. You can, I don't know if you remember, I did say to you, you can think he's the devil.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's the devil.
Do you remember when I said that? No, but my point is,
but you're saying
someone wants to believe that.
So you're saying we need to.
That's not what
you're saying. We need to take the time to look at the kind of the facts and the situations.
Well, here's the reality, right? The government does all that. They look at the facts and everything. Obviously, the FBI has been known to lie before, right? Maybe, maybe they're perfect. Generally speaking, they're probably better than nothing. So now it's just like you think that there's a conspiracy against the guy. Like it's not even about the facts anymore. Like you think that there's like this deep-seated conspiracy. And he said it multiple times. Like what did he say? Like, they've tampered with evidence. Like, he never said how though. How did he tamper with the evidence? What does that even mean?
Come to just with our whole hearts and minds, come to a rational decision.
Well, my question to you is,
that's a trial.
Do you believe that there are?
That's a trial. By the way, he lost 2 of them.
No, but do you believe that it is okay under any circumstance for the government or government officials, whether it's a prosecutor, whether it's a judge, whether it's an FBI agent, to commit a crime, to convict?
Of course not. No, never. Dude.
If we agree on that, Ethan, if you and I can agree on that, that's all that matters. And that's why I'm here. I don't care.
That doesn't seem very significant. I mean, we can both agree that Krispy Kreme donuts are great, taste great, but that doesn't really have any. That doesn't have nothing to do with wire fraud and racketeering.
Why do you believe that that's not significant?
Because it doesn't affect all the other unrelated crimes he was convicted of.
But I think that the part where we're just missing is that you keep making it about this case. What I'm saying is what I'm addressing affects every single case in the United States.
This is bigger than Keith.
Yeah, Keith is not bigger than the justice system. If you allow or you are okay permitting government officials to commit crimes, to convict even a hated person, what you ultimately are saying is that you believe that prejudice and hate are more important than justice.
Here's you and Keith. He has really nice skin. Fuck.
Okay.
The thing is, I'm trying to have a serious conversation.
No, I was just struck by his really nice skin. Did he ever drop?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, out of respect, I'm trying to have a conversation with you about something that affects millions of people around the justice. Millions of people in the justice system and are affected.
Yeah, let's get into some systemic oppression conversation up.
By our justice system. This isn't about Keith. It is about Keith because this is the specific case and the specific evidence that we have. Do you mind if I take a moment and read some of the quotes from the FBI agents?
No, I don't want to do that. Let me ask you.
I want to hear it.
I don't even blame you because honestly, in a sense, you're you're kind of the victim of you know what I mean? Like you're part of this organization that clearly has some powerful hold over you. And I'm really sorry that you got somehow you're involved in this. And I just like Keith is gone. He can't hurt you anymore. You know what I mean? Like you're free, bro.
I appreciate the I do believe that I'm free. I'm an adult that makes decisions in
just
my own
like
life.
that girl in the room. You're free, man. Just walk through.
He's saying that, like, bro, this guy's actually fucking crazy. Right there, he's just saying that, like, if you're an adult that gets like like you can't be manipulated as an adult, or else you're an idiot. It's just something, man. This guy's something else. But hey, God bless him. Am I right?
Door.
What I can say again is, I reached out to you. I'm trying to talk about things that there's a lot of prejudice against talking about. You have a case that has international attention, that has a lot of hate and a lot of prejudice, and now we have that.
We keep it. We're kind of. Yeah, you've said that. It's okay. Listen, I really do wish the best for you, and I'm sorry that you're dealing with all this stuff. It seems like you're going through a lot, and I just, I'm sorry, man. I don't know if there's anything, do they have photos of you? Like they must have, because that was their thing, right? Keith had like blackmail
There's
photos.
no photos. I just, for anyone who's listening that wants to find out more, they can go to makejusticeblind.com and they can.
You should have cut him off right before then. Shouldn't have even given him a chance to say that. Damn.
Look at the evidence with respect to the FBI and what I've been talking about here.
This is the video, right? Evidence of historic FBI corruption. This is the one you're talking about?
Could we at least
watch it? One of the guys is Alan Dershowitz. He represented. He's Epstein's lawyer.
Could we play it from the beginning? It's only 2 minutes.
You know what? I'll do that for you. We've been through a lot together. I'll play you the Dersh.
Well, no. I'm saying, can you play it from the beginning, which is the experts, which is actually what's most important.
Well, he is in this video, so I'm assuming he's an expert.
But he's under the section of advocates in the beginning of the 2 minute video. There's the whole section on experts. It's only 2 minutes. I'd be grateful if you play that at least.
He's an advocate. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
If this alleged FBI malfeasance turns out to be true, as our experts say it is, then this is really historic. This is really an attempt to frame somebody based on manipulation of data. That's just unacceptable in an American court and in the American legal system.
True.
He's the man, bro. Alan Dersh.
But the thing is there a reason you can't play it from the beginning?
I'm afraid that it's compelling, frankly. I don't want... No, I will play it. I'll play it. So these people...
I'm afraid it's compelling. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
these are all former FBI people. Okay, I'm gonna play it.
Some of them are former...
I owe that to you. I owe that to you. Yeah, I owe that to you. I'm gonna play it.
Awesome.
Experts versus Keith.
I worked in the FBI for about 10 years. It is clear that the photos in this case were planted there.
This is the most serious.
How did they get the photos to examine? Because there's apparently child pornography on the photos. It seems kind of like a hot potato. And
let's
and I hesitate to call pictures of child pornography a hot potato. You know, what I mean?
They're not looking at. No one's looking at pictures of child porn. They're looking at
metadata.
Files, the file data.
The metadata. Okay, got it.
Tampering with evidence that I've ever seen.
It's inescapable that the FBI proactively created fake evidence.
Data changed while I was in FBI custody. It was modified. It was altered.
In 25 years of digital investigations,
no.
Zach, can you turn it down?
The amount of technical ability and premeditation to perform this fraud in the case against Harry, I've never seen anything like that.
In my 20 years experience with the FBI, I have never seen data manipulation, evidence tampering, anything like this on this.
Look at this guy, dude. He's so fucking defeated at this point. Oh no, dude. He played the fucking Chestnuts roasting song, dude. No, he has to stop. He has to stop. He has to stop. This man is a fucking menace. Oh my god. I almost feel bad for the guy in the video. I almost feel bad for this guy. He sits through it for so much longer, it seems like. I mean, God bless him. What is he doing? Oh my god, dude.
When I first read,
they're just looping it. They're not even playing the full song. They're just continuously looping this part of the song over and over again.
That Mr. Raniere presented on tampering, I was shocked.
I've never seen an instance where
stop. It's so fucked.
Purely for the purpose
He's just doing it over and over.
If it could happen to a person who is educated, who is white, who has the complexion for acceptance, as I would say, none of us are safe.
There's no need to fabricate evidence for a guilty man. The fact that they fabricated evidence here, and to the degree that they did,
Jesus.
If this alleged FBI malfeasance turns out to be true, as our experts say it is, then this is really historic. This is really an attempt to frame somebody based on manipulation of data. That's just unacceptable in an American court and in the American legal system.
Can this guy not hear it? I don't understand. Oh, Ethan's
United
laughing.
States Attorney for the Eastern District of Arkansas. In the face of this alarming evidence,
Oh my God,
there's
this
really
is
no excuse
horrible.
for the court
This is so
or
funny.
for the
Man.
prosecutor to hide behind procedural delays.
That's just so stupid, bro.
They should take immediate action, and if they can't or they won't, the United States Attorney General should appoint.
He'd walk the fucking away, bro.
If
Jesus
an
Christ.
independent investigation determines that this tampering occurred, there must be accountability. People have to be criminally prosecuted. This is very serious.
It's still going, dude. Wow, what a beautiful song. Jesus.
Shortly after Mr. Renner's legal team first exposed this corruption, the government retaliated.
Yeah, I mean, what I know that you were playing the music, which was unfortunate, and making the jokes. You know, these are people, whether or not, again, whether you hate Keith Raniere or whatever you think about NXIVM, you know, these are very people that have served our country. Those are 4 FBI agents, other distinguished experts.
But didn't you say the FBI lies? So, like, why would them serving your country matter? You just said they fabricate evidence. So, by like that logic, the FBI is like all corrupt and not actually serving our country. They're actually doing a disservice to our country. So, like, you can't even say that they serve our country because you don't believe that by your logic.
There's also a former U.S. prosecutor. You know,
US
again, if you
prostitute?
don't want to hear that,
I do.
and
I'm
agree,
so,
that's
you know what?
okay.
Here's what I just want to. I'm going to give
What I
you
would
the.
say is
Here's what I want to do.
if you
Here's what I
ever
want to
had-
do. Wait, I'm
if you ever
serious.
had-
I want to give you the platform. I'm just going to step away because listen. Obviously, we've been doing some goofs here, and I feel I owe it to you. I'm going to step away. I'm going to sit right here and listen, but I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm just going to let you say your thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I'll say is first,
Don't do it.
thank you again for you know, allowing me to come on. I didn't appreciate sort of the way it went, but even with that,
Don't do it.
what I'm talking about today and the video that you saw with these experts, these are serious things that we're talking about.
What is he doing?
I think that's
What's wrong?
Oh, he's putting the sensory things on there.
What happened?
well, thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to give a closing statement or anything?
No, I think that they're just putting things on the screen.
Oh, it's just no. That helps people's attention span because it's a little boring. So it's a little dense.
Oh my
So
God.
sometimes we put Kinetic Sand or Subway Surfer. It makes it easier to listen.
Gotcha. Thank
Hey,
you for
did
having me
you
on
see this
today,
photo
guys.
of you guys, of the 3 amigos?
This is so bad.
Did you?
Bro, why is he still there? They just put him in fucking Charles Manson on the screen. This is killing me, dude. Oh my God. Stop.
I'm with you, by the way. ACAB, brother. you don't know how to turn off Zoom. You're trying, but you can't get away.
This makes sense as to why he thinks that files are tampered with. He just doesn't understand how to use the fucking computer. Bro, I can't believe he made it this far before leaving. Holy fuck.
How do you get out of this?
No, there's no trouble. Well, again, nice to meet you, Ethan. And thanks for having me on today.
I'm sorry to put you all through that. Ultimately, you are the victim, and I hope Raniere dies in prison. I really do. I really do. But one day you're going to be free of this, and I'll be there to help you. I'm so
Oh, my
sorry.
God.
This is Keith's fault that you went through this. It really is, and I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. This is horrible. This is so funny, though.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. All right, take care.
My Lord.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you. Oh, God.
This is
He hung up. Yeah, I know.
Took him a while.
I actually feel bad for him at the end there.
Yeah.
But to
I mean,
be
it's
fair,
extremely embarrassing.
But to be completely fair, this man walked into like a comet-sized chasm of a death trap. You can turn back on chat.
All right, I'll turn it back on.
Like, when I got this email from him that I read you guys, I was like, is this guy for real? And
What, they
I
turned the
passed
chat off or something?
This email of a read you guys, I was like, is this guy for real? And so I passed it to Dan to set it up. And sure enough, this guy thought I was an Andrew Tate defender.
Wow.
Who loves fucking Keith Raniere. And also, he didn't know I have Tourette syndrome, which put me in kind of a unique position to talk to him about Tourette's.
Yeah.
And that was a very stressful situation. I didn't see him taken once. Just saying.
True.
I'm sorry. I honestly feel bad. I do feel bad. That man is crushed. But you know what? At the end of the day, definitely do a tiny bit of research for call.
Wow. Well, that was an interesting conversation. I'm fucking crying right now. Chat was off the whole time. I see the chat in there the whole time. Oh, maybe they turned them off at a certain point. Oh, they turned it off at a certain point and then they put it back on. That makes sense. Especially since there are probably people who fell for Ethan who's goofing around. All right, well, interesting video. We learned a lot, guys. I'm laughing my fucking balls off. Holy shit. The Chestnuts roasting song always fucking kills me.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.